And the whole community and everybody in the community is focused on self-actualization. So everything from that is taken care of. So survival is taken care of, so you can focus on self-actualization. All of these things are taken care of. And the way they look at people who are wealthy, or what we might consider rich, right, is that they are looked at and honored and revered, not because of the accumulation of stuff, but because of how much they give away. So what the thought is I haven't, I imagine I'm one of those wealthy, what we might consider wealthy people. I go, I have a talent or a skill or an ability to materialize wealth. My responsibility is not to go, ha, 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 everyone else, I'm just really smart and talented and you're all dumb because you can't do it, but to go, here, I'm gifting that because, Eleni, your talent is speaking. Maybe not, it's not the accumulation of whatever, in our term, billions of dollars, but actually the sharing of wisdom. That's your gift. My gift is the accumulation of billions of dollars. So what I do is I share that as you share your wisdom by speaking. And so there's this sharing of everything so that the whole community can focus on self-actualization.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Galactic Guidance. And welcome, Marcus. How are you?
Hey, Eleni, I'm great. I'm really good. Thank you.
That's
And
good.
you?
I'm really good too. And I'm excited for another episode of Galactic Guidance where you channel your spirit mentor, Ameed.
Yeah, my beautiful off-world friend.
Can't wait
I know.
to
I was talking to my
connecting.
wife last night about it, and just some of the, the undeniable sort of things that often appear when I'm channeling, and even when I'm doing it just myself for things. And, every now and then my earthly brain still falls into, really? Right? And then something shows up that is just undeniable, like that I wouldn't know, that I had no idea about or had no connection to, and then all this serendipitous stuff opens up, and I go, okay, it has to be.
Do you want to give us, because I know you've got hundreds of examples, but do you want to
There's
give us
lots.
something that happened just
Oh my God.
recently?
Yeah, so this is quite a big thing, actually, and I'm happy to release it here, I think, because it was a big thing that happened. And a few months ago, when Ameed came in, so I imagine her stepping into my pyramid because I meditate in a pyramid. So she steps into the pyramid and she sits opposite me. And anyway, a few months back, along like 6 months ago, she came in and she introduced me to Thoth. And Thoth was an ancient Egyptian god, but before that, he's off-world being, and he wrote the Emerald Tablets. And anyway, she guided me to start reading the Emerald Tablets, just to read them. And I went, okay, I'll read them. Anyway, not long after, like 3 months later, another being came through called Thoran. Right? And I thought to myself, that's a weird name. Or this being just came with her, right? So then I had Thoth, her, and this other being, and I'm like, oh, what's his, because it was a masculine energy, what's his name? And she said Thoran, and I'm like, okay, that doesn't mean anything to me. I have no idea what this is. Anyway, he stayed quiet for a long time. I kept asking, why are you here? Like, what is this about? Like, why have you come? And what are you here to share, right? Nothing, not a thing. And I just went, oh, well, like I normally do, I just go, okay, it just is what it is, right? You just go with it. Don't really have a choice. It appeared. So anyway, so then I don't even know the order it came in, but a couple of things then presented. All of a sudden, well, I met this author who is going to help me write some books. And then he started talking when this person appeared, right? Because Ameed was sort of like, there's some information, other information for the whole world that needs to happen, not just for the activated people, the people in my training program or the healers, but actually for the whole planet. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yep, sure, whatever. So then this author appeared to help, right? Just appeared out of sort of almost out of nowhere that, that she'd arrived to help. And that's when Thoran, this being, started talking to me and started telling me what we were about to write, and just these incredible stories, right? About a concept called the Sapphire Tablets. So then I'm just like, okay, Sapphire Tablet. I don't know anything about Sapphire, right? It's very reminiscent of how this whole thing started in a way. I don't know anything about the Sapphire itself, and so it guided me to look at some from recent, have a look at some things, and it's kind of fascinating. The Sapphire Tablets are a sort of a manuscript around how to live individually, but how to live as a community based on like off-world experiences, highly evolved beings, which is nothing like we're living now, obviously. So then I just started doing some research and I realized that the Sapphire Tablets did exist. And the original 10 commandments were written on Sapphire Tablets.
Wow. Oh, I just got goosebumps all over.
I know. And then I read another book. I was led to another book. You know how serendipitous, books fall off shelves or appear. Started reading this other book, and it was a book that was channeled ages ago, and Thoron was the channeled being that channeled this book. And I'm like, oh my God, I'd never heard of this being. Anyway, there was a whole story about him and what he's about and where he appeared in Egypt and where he appeared in all of these things. And I was talking to my wife about it last night, that it's like, how do you come up with that stuff? Like, how do you make that up? You can't make that up. And all the serendipitous things that unfold since then is like, how do you make this stuff up?
What's one of the things that happened since then?
Well, just the serendipitous things of where the Sapphire Tablets play out and what Sapphire is about. And the Eye of Horus, right? The all-seeing eye, the wisdom eye of Horus is a sapphire. It was made out of sapphire. So the whole Eye of Horus, and I've worked with the Eye of Horus for years, never connected sapphire with its eye or anything. So all of these synchronistic correlations then start to play out. And I'm like, well, that's weird. It's not weird, and it's weird at the same time, right? Because my logic brain goes, surely none of this is this real? And then all of a sudden, all these correlations come in, all these serendipitous things show up, and you just go, okay, you can't make that stuff up.
When you say that, the way that we're living is not the way that we're meant to be living, can you give us one example?
Here's one that came across my bow the other day, and I did a post on it, and you might relate to this having been corporate like me. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs has been utilized around the planet for eons, right? And in corporate love that whole concept of Maslow. And anyway, so I just came across something the other day which talked about that Maslow's hierarchy of needs actually isn't real, and it's not exactly how he wrote it, and it's been perpetuated over time. It's not actually how it was. Anyway, that dovetailed with some information I got about how highly evolved beings exist, right? Where their core focus isn't the accumulation of what we do here, like wealth, and their core focus isn't that, the Maslow's pyramid where sort of this survival stuff's on the bottom, making have food, shelter, all that sort of stuff, and then self-actualization is this little point at the top. Highly evolved beings have that flipped around, and it's not actually a pyramid, it's more circular. But the center of the circle is about self-actualization. And the whole community and everybody in the community is focused on self-actualization. So everything from that is taken care of. So survival is taken care of, so you can focus on self-actualization. All of these things are taken care of. And the way they look at people who are wealthy, or what we might consider rich, right, is that they are looked at and honored and revered, not because of the accumulation of stuff, but because of how much they give away. So what the thought is I imagine I'm one of those wealthy, what we might consider wealthy people. I go, I have a talent or a skill or an ability to materialize wealth. My responsibility is not to go, ha, 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 everyone else, I'm just really smart and talented and you're all dumb because you can't do it, but to go, here, I'm gifting that because, Eleni, your talent is speaking. Maybe not, it's not the accumulation of whatever, in our term, billions of dollars, but actually the sharing of wisdom. That's your gift. My gift is the accumulation of billions of dollars. So what I do is I share that as you share your wisdom by speaking. And so there's this sharing of everything so that the whole community can focus on self-actualization. So turning Maslow's sort of hierarchy in on itself so that everyone in the community is totally focused on that. And those that are gifted in these things give of their thing away. Those that are gifted in this give of their thing away. So everyone's like pouring into the middle.
I love it.
Not taking from the middle or running or being in a pyramid shape, right? Where I'm at the top of the pyramid because I'm talented and special or whatever, right? Because, you know, it honors the innate wisdom and skill and reason for being in every individual. We don't honor that. We go, if you're smart and you grow $1 billion business, well, you're clever and smart and we put you up there. Or if you're, you know, we just highlight in the wrong areas, and then it's the accumulation rather than pouring everything back in. And just because I can accumulate $1 billion doesn't make me better or less than you. Your wisdom that you share from your voice and speaking as a speaker, right, is as valuable as $1 billion. So therefore, you share your words with me, I share my money with you, and it's a like it, yeah.
It's a win-win. Anyway. It's a win-win for everybody.
For everybody. And
there's
then
there's no losers here.
There's no losers. And then the whole community grows. And this is what really made sense to me then. This is why Ameed and these highly evolved beings then spend their time mentoring and helping other beings on other planets. Because that's the self-actualization. They are now at that actualized self, and therefore they are then gifting and giving this to everybody in the universe.
And Ameed said that in one of the episodes. She said,
okay.
There will be a time when you will be doing what I'm doing.
Okay. That's exactly that. Yeah, right. But we can't do that until we turn this shape around and make it a spherical, circular reality rather than a pyramidal reality like the Maslow's sort of pyramid.
I love it.
Can't work. And you can just see the ripple of disharmony that pyramid-y type idea creates. Right? You then have the haves and have-nots, and then you have people who are incredibly talented and wise feeling like they're useless, hopeless, and pointless. Do you know what I mean? Like, they just feel, well, because our focus is on this accumulation and in particular money, as opposed to self-actualization. If we all focused on the concept of self-actualization, then all we want to do is help others to have that. Like, if everyone is to have that, then that's what we're here to do. So then, those with the talent, they're honored for the amount they give away, not the amount they accumulate. So that's sort of the next piece to it, right? The more you give, the more honored you are in the society.
The more you give, the more you get. The more you give, the more you get.
And then, of course, that's what you do. And we have these concepts, right?
Yeah.
But
you don't give so you can get, and that's where people think, you don't give so you can get, but you get because you give.
Yeah, by accident or default or divine universal exchange. So that's sort of kind of interesting. And that's a bit of the journey that sort of has been unfolding over the last little bit.
Fascinating. I love it. Really what you're talking about is the new world, new earth.
It's that. Yeah. And it's just an interesting blueprint. And it was a blueprint that was gifted to us a long time ago, and it was manipulated,
Fascinating, Marcus. I can't wait to read all about it.
I know. It's kind of interesting. So, Anyway, there you go.
I love it. Beautiful. All right. I think it's time to speak to our beautiful off-world friend, Ameed. So whenever you're ready to connect in to her energy, just go ahead. And so Marcus right now is connecting into his spirit mentor, Ameed, who is a beautiful being from the Lyra star system and a advanced planet, and we have these beautiful conversations. If you want to know how this transpired with Marcus 30 years ago, you need to see episode 1 of Galactic Guidance.
There's much of the joyness that we are being in of this moment, and yes, of the Eleni, this is much of the sacredness of the moment, and you are much of the awareness of the sacredness of this of the moment. And we are much in the joyfulness, much in love, much in the loveness, much joy.
Yes, I can feel my heart very much open, Ameed, and very grateful that you are here to share your wisdom with us. Very grateful for the support, the guidance, the love, and the commitment that you've given to us earthly beings. Thank you so much for everything that you do.
We are much in the joyness. What you will be in the realizing is that as you are being of the giving, you are also being of the receiving, much at the frequency of the resonant level of the experience. You are much yet to be in the fullness of this of the experience, but you are being of the understanding that when you are being of the gifting, you are being much of the receiving. But maybe not as like you are being thinking. You are thinking that receiving should be coming in a particular package, a particular way. But really, this is not what is being of the happening. You are being of the gifting, and you are being of the receiving in what it is that you are being of the needing. Not what you are thinking of you are needing, but actually what your resonant of the frequency is in of the needingness. This is what is being of the happening.
So, Ameed, in terms of today's discussion, I'll leave it up to you as to whether you want to continue the talk that Marcus and I had earlier about the new world and the spherical nature of community as opposed to the way that we currently perceive our life, or whether you feel that there is something else that you would like to bring forward.
We are much of the joyness to be of the sharing of the information. In particular, we wish to be of the sharing of the personal nature of this reality and of the conversation that you are being in of the having. And this is that you must be of the expanding from of the centerness of the outness, not from the outness of the inness, but from the inness and of the outness. You are very much in of the space where you are thinking of the linear progression and linear aspect of your reality. This is one of the templates that you must be in of the changing. We would like to be saying in of the breaking, because this is much of the oldness of the template. This is a structure that is designed to be keeping you from the expansive nature of who you truly are. When you are thinking of aspects of the spherical nature, you are seeing more of the reality of the universal construct. This is much of the significance, because when you are looking out at the universal construct and you are seeing of the planetary nature of reality, you are always seeing of the spheres. When you are thinking of your creation of the atomic nature of the reality, you are seeing of the spheres. This is an indication that everything that is in of the creation, everything that is in of the existence is actually in of the spherical nature of the reality. You are thinking everything is of the straight lines, and you are seeing some of the proof that the things are of the straight line, but this is not necessarily the truth of the reality. Much of the inner nature of your experience and much of your expressive external nature of experience is in spherical reality. When you are being of the speaking, you are thinking you are sharing words that are directly coming out in a linear of the fashion. But what you are, if you could be seeing more of the what you would be calling of the quantum nature, you would be seeing that every aspect of the language that you are being of the speaking. And even as we are transmissioning through this of the channel, we are transmissioning one particular aspect of your experience, which is what you are being calling of the soundness of the frequency. This of the soundness of the frequency is being picked up by one of the aspects of your experience. It is being picked up by the ear nature of your experience, and you are translating these of the sounds, these frequencies into of the wordness. But what is actually being of the happening is that with every expression of the wordness, there is a sphere of frequency energy that is being of the produced. This frequency of the energy is moving out in all of the directions. It is not just being of the coming into of the ear space, but it is coming to every of the atomic nature of your being. Every cellular structure of your being is tuning into this frequency and is being of the responding to of this frequency. So you must be beginning to be seeing in of the spherical nature of the reality and beginning to be of the letting go of the linear nature of reality. When you are being doing this, you will see that you will be able to be of the materializing much of the fastness. You will be able to heal of the much of the fastness. You will be able to expand much of the fastness.
So, Ameed, every time you tell us about what's happening at this quantum level, I always ask you, can you give us an example of how us humans can transition from linear to spherical in the way that we live? One practical example.
There's many of the practical nature of the examples that we could be sharing. But if you are much to allow yourself to feel into and to be able to be in of the connection of resonant frequencies, this would be much of the firstness that would be much of the helpfulness. In of this moment, you can be in of the closing of the eyes, and rather than be listening to of the linear aspect of the languaging that you are hearing, rather than being listening to the words that are being presented to you and being trying to make of the making of the sense of the words, you should be of the feeling into the bubbles that are being of the created by of the words, and be feeling into the energetic nature of these bubbles that are being created by of the words, because there is much of the information that is being shared at a multi of the dimensional levels, not just by the language, which is one dimension of the experience, but there are multiple dimensions of the experience that are happening. There is much more information that is being shared than what you can be of the hearing. There is resonant frequency and dimensional expansion, knowledge and of the wisdom that is being shared all at the simultaneous of the time. And the only way for you to be experiencing this is to be of the feeling of the inness of this experience, to be sensing into the energetic quality of this of the experience, to be feeling into of the vibrations of this energetic of the experience. It is kind of the funniness. We are being of the laughingness when you are saying you are getting of the bumps of the gooses, because this is what you might consider of the extremeness of the example of feeling into of the bubbles of the experience. We can be calling this of the bubbles of the experience. And what you are looking at when you are seeing of the gooseness of the bumps is almost like these little other bubbles that are appearing on your of the skin. These are in direct response to what you are experiencing from of the feelingness, not just of the wordness, but of the resonant experience and of the feelingness. This is one of the examples that you can be tuning into and be of the experiencing. The other you must be recognizing is that when you are being thinking about being in of the transition from one of the states to another of the states, maybe when you are feeling of the sadness, that there is an opportunity that if you are being thinking of the circular nature or the spherical nature of the reality, that you can transition from of the sadness to of the happiness in what you'd be calling of the instantaneousness. One of the things that you are thinking that you need to be doing is, if you are feeling of the sadness, that you need to be on a journey to get to into the happiness. And therefore you are taking what you might be thinking of as a linear progression, linear of the steps to go from of the sadness to of the happiness. But we are here to tell you that the sadness and of the happiness live together by the side. They are as close together as any other of the experiences that you are being of the having. And they are of very much of the similar resonant pattern, so therefore they can be living next to of each other. And therefore you can be going from of the sadness to of the happiness of the instantness. And the way you are being doing this is that you can firstly be of the sensing into this resonant experience of the reality. When you are feeling in of the sadness, and when you are feeling in of the maybe you are being of the watering, that you can just be sitting and settling into of the watering just for of the moment. And then you can think to yourself, what would be of the equal but of the opposite experience to this, or what you are thinking of the opposite experience? And that would be, you would be thinking of, I want to be of the happiness. I don't want to be of the wateringness. I want to be experiencing of the happiness. And when you think about of the sadness and of the happiness together in a spherical nature, or maybe you are thinking of it like of a circle, when you are thinking about a circle and you get to the very top of the circle, what you would be of imagining is that the sadness and the happiness be of living next to and togetherness at the top of the circle. Therefore, you can actually be of the transition from one state to another state in of the instant moment. And you do this by connecting into of the resonant field of the sadness, and then allowing the resonant field to be of the expansive nature. So be of imagining that the sadness is one of the big of the bubbles. And as you begin to expand of the sadness, you will naturally begin to connect into of the happiness. This is not possible not to be connecting in of the happiness as you are being expanding in of the sadness. And this is why we are much of the be of the funniness when we are being seeing you be of the sadness and you are being of the watering, and then in the next of the moment you are being of the laughing. And we are seeing your younglings be doing this all of the time, but we also see much of the olderlings be doing this example. So you can be in of this transition of the instant nature, where you can be of the sadness and of the watering, and then be of the laughter and of the watering. This is why you can be of the sadness and of the watering, but you can be of the happiness and of the watering. Because if you think about this, it does not make of the sense. Why would I be sad and be that would be making me be of the watering? But then if I be much of the laughing, I also be of the watering. That is unusual, Ameed. Why is that of the happening? This is of the happening because they are of the same energetic of the quality, same of the resonant quality. When you are being of the understanding of this, you can be changing your state, you can be changing of your situation in of the instant moment. So next time you are thinking of the linear progression of sadness or of the happiness, of the thriving and of the surviving, just know that these concepts, these linear concepts that have been taught to you and you have been told that they are very much of the farness of the apart, and that you have to go on a very much of the longness of the journey, and you must do much of the therapiness, and you must do much of the healing to get from one of the sides to the other of the sides. This is not of the truth. You can be from one of the sides and then to the other of the sides in of the instantaneousness of the right of the nowness. You can make it happen you are being of the clicking of the fingers, and you are being thinking this is of the magic. But this is exactly what is the being of the happening. The universe is of the magicness. There is magic happening all of the time. Within your biology, there is magic happening every millisecond of every millisecond. There is so much magic that is a being of the happening. And you can bring this into our consciousness state. This is one of the aspects we are being talking about expanding of the consciousness state. Because as you being of the expanding of the consciousness state, you will be coming into the wisdom and of the realizing that this is of the truthfulness, and that the linear progression that you have been led into is not of the truthfulness. It is existing in another dimension of the reality scape that is much of the oldness. And we are now inviting you to step into another dimension of the reality scape where as for the example, that linear progression no longer is of the existing, because this is not of the reality of an expanding universal construct. Therefore, we are wishing for you to step into the next dimension of the reality scape. This is a scape of the expanding of the consciousness of the awareness. This is about coming into more of the you-ness. And this is about realizing that what you have been shared is not of the truth in this of the dimension. It was of the truth in one of the dimensions, but not in the dimension that you are now moving into, that we are assisting you to be in the transition of. You are being thinking. Everything is of the spherical nature of the reality.
Wow, I love everything that you've shared. I've never ever thought before about why do we cry when we laugh, and why do we cry when we're sad? And it's because it's the same energetic quality, both of those emotions, they're siblings. That is, wow, that's a wow. That's an aha moment for me, and it makes total sense because your heart is open in both sadness and happiness. Your heart is open. It's coming from your heart center. So it makes sense that it's the same emotion. And I love everything you've shared about the magic of the universe and the spherical nature that already exists. And it's just about us connecting into our resonant field so that we can flow with the universe's spherical nature rather than think that there's some sort of illusion about some linear line that we need to follow. Is there anything else at all before we bring Marcus back that you'd like to share, Ameed?
This is what you have been of the sharing is absolutely of the correctness. What you will be finding of the universal construct, there is no linear progression. There is nothing that is being operating in of the linear nature. Everything is expanding in of the spherical reality of itselfness. Everything expands in every of the direction. There is nothing that is being of the expanding in of a linear construct. And therefore you must be imagining that where you are sitting in this of the moment, that your past is expanding, your future is of the expanding. Everything is of the expanding. And this is much of the excitement, because as and this is much of the maybe of the difficultness for the linear construct within you to be of the understanding. But as you are expanding of the spherical nature, you can be expanding the past perceived experiences of reality. You are expanding the future possibilities of the reality scape. Therefore, you can be healing of the instantness, even of the pastness that you think has been of the goneness for many of the time. This is not of the truth. This is expanding in of the spherical nature, and therefore you can be allowing, as you are being of the mentioning, in of the flowness of universal construct, that everything then can be only of the healing of the instant nature. The magic can be of the happening and is of the happening, even without you being of the thinking about it. But when you are anchoring in and holding much onto the linear aspect of reality, then you cannot be connecting into the expansive spherical nature of the reality. Therefore, you don't be of the clearing of the what you be calling of the healing of the past realities, of the future realities, of the current of the reality, because you have to be holding on to the linear aspect. And when you are hanging on to of the linear aspect, then the past must be staying in of the past, and the future must be staying in of the future. Therefore, it's very much of the difficultness to what you might think of the healing of the past, because if you are being healing of the past, then the linear reality just begins to be of the breaking down and of the disappearing. So you are much holding on to this so that it continues to be of the perpetuation of the linear aspect of unreality that you are experiencing.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Ameed. Thank you.
Much of the love, much of the joy. We are looking forward to seeing you being of the happiness and of the watering, and of the sadness of the watering. When we are seeing both of these aspects, we are much overjoyed, much overjoyed, much love.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
How do we go today?
Really good. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
some insights that I've
yeah.
never even thought of before.
Okay. Yeah.
such
Yeah.
as sadness and happiness being the same
Mm,
energetic vibration. It's
mm,
not it's not different, it's not lower because
mm.
and when you think about it, that makes sense because you're opening your heart for both.
Yeah.
Whether you're
Yeah, that
feeling
would make
sad
sense.
or whether you're feeling happy, your heart is where it's coming
Yeah.
from. And I never thought, how fascinating what Ameed said about when we cry, we can cry
Right.
of laughter and we can cry of
Yeah.
sadness. So
Okay.
why is that? It's because it's the same. It's because it's
Yeah.
the
That's
same.
kind of interesting. Yeah.
Everything is spherical, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was really good. It was really good. Some incredible insights that I've never heard before.
Yeah. 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 I think, yeah, she has talked to me a bit about these sort of things, and certainly the spherical nature and trying to get our head around the spherical nature of reality. We've sort of, I don't know, been guided or led to believe, or this whole sort of linear type of thing. I mean, we've created so many things around that, the clock itself and calendars and all these sort of
Mm,
things that we've created that sort of anchor in this sort of reality of linear time and space, when actually that's not how the universe works. That's not how it
no.
actually is.
No,
Um,
and I also think this
yeah,
would be really helpful for people who, I know there are a lot of light workers who really get down on themselves when they feel these emotions that are not happy or high
yeah,
vibration or whatever, when they shouldn't,
yeah,
because whether you're feeling sad or whether you're feeling happy, it's the same.
yeah, that's right. That's right.
It's the same. It's not, you're not less than, you're not lower than, you're not a lower
No,
vibration or a lower level of
no,
consciousness because you're feeling sad. Because at the end of the day,
no.
we are human,
Yeah,
and no matter what we believe to be true, that this is an illusion, that this is the matrix, that we can, no
yeah,
matter what, we're still having the experience as a human.
yeah, we are. And we're here to do that, right? So we just fully do that. And I think that maybe this sort of concept that she talked about allows us to sort of fully do that, rather than, we desperately run from one end of the line to the other, always trying to almost get away from something in a way. Like it's kind of when you think circular or spherically, then yeah, you can dance around the sphere. It's very hard to dance along the line, right? Because you're likely to fall off it. Whereas
That's
a
right.
sphere, you can't fall off a sphere. You're just in a sphere, and
That's right. She
you
said,
can,
just like that, we could actually
yeah,
then, fall into happiness
totally,
when we understand that it's a sphere and it's the same and we don't judge it.
totally. You can absolutely go from sadness to happiness instantly. We see our children do this all the time. Young
Ah,
children
yes,
do it
yes,
all the time, where 1 minute they're crying, screaming, and then almost instantly, I don't know, something happens. Trigger happens. I don't know. They push a magic button and they're laughing and dancing around. Like what
yes,
happened?
yes.
They're,
That's
they're connected to
right.
that. They get
We
it.
we just need to look at children.
Yeah, yeah. They're still connected to that realm, that reality. And it's only when it gets sort of, encouraged out of them that they get drawn into this linear reality. And then, when you're sad, and it's a journey to get to happiness. And it doesn't
Yeah,
have to be a journey to get to happiness. It can happen instantly, theoretically. Certainly from a universal construct point of view, there's nothing saying that it can't happen instantly.
yeah. We've
Nothing.
just got we've just got
No
to make it.
physics.
We've got to make it
Yep.
okay.
Yeah, totally. It's absolutely okay. Absolutely okay. And maybe it's also okay to have two experiences happening at once, to feel sad and happy all
Mm.
at the same time. I don't know. Maybe.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, I've experienced that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's okay
Mm.
to have those experiences. So, anyway,
Yeah,
hopefully that's helpful. Hopefully that gives you some insights and,
yeah.
yeah, helps to awaken you a little bit to this spherical nature of existence.
When you said that, Marcus, I just had an image which I'll just share with you quickly.
Yeah.
Um, where many years ago I was in the city, is when I was in corporate, and I was running across the road. There's trams, there's traffic, there's everything, and I fell down, and my stockings
Yeah.
ripped. Really, I felt bad. I fell down really badly, like there was blood on my legs, and I was crying and laughing at the same time
Yeah. Yeah.
because I was in
That's
shock.
hilarious.
And I was like, this is hilarious. Like, I'm in the middle of the city on the ground, and I was also very sore, so I was crying. So I was having this cry, laugh, cry, laugh, cry, laugh.
Crazy, right?
Oh
It's
my
funny how
God.
that can happen, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think when you realize that too, you can actually make a conscious choice to be one or the other. And I know that sometimes doesn't make logical sense, right? Because it's like, oh, I'm just sad because, something happened and I can't be happy and I don't know. But the truth is you can. And I think that can apply to everything, from emotions to thoughts to physical things appearing and, materializing that, yeah. And I think like you've probably seen this in business too, how someone could be struggling and then all of a sudden it seems like they have this overnight success. There's a shift, there's a change. And do you know what I mean? Then serendipity comes in and, they might go from in maybe in some of the stuff you've been doing recently, like having no talks, no one wants to, to book them as a speaker. And then all of a sudden it's almost like magic happens and there's this string of stuff that happens. That's not necessarily the linear progression. It just can appear like that. So
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, it's good.
Oh, what a
Yay.
beautiful discussion.
Yay.
And
Thank you.
thank you, Marcus, for bringing Ameed through and for sharing your knowledge and the wisdom that you've gained and your perspective. Really appreciate everything.
Oh, likewise. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you holding space for this. It's beautiful that we've got a place to, to come and share and, yeah, put this out in the world. So thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yay. Yay.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Galactic Guidance. We hope that the messages that you receive from the higher realms have brought you clarity, insight, and comfort. Please like this video and subscribe to this channel. Remember to stay connected to your own inner guidance and trust the journey ahead.